Hey guys, so welcome to this week's pull list section of the Coffee and Hero show. As you can see, I have had to move location. I was cutting it a bit fine with my recording in the shop before Smithfield closed up, so bringing this to you from the house. So yeah, I brought my pull list home this week. Just wanted to take you guys through what is on my pull list this week. Of course, there are other titles outside of this that are all in the store, all ready for sale, all on the racks, all processed. Everyone's pull lists are all ready for collection. Everything bagged and boarded. It was a big effort this week, I have to say, to get everything done. Many thanks to Stephen for giving us a hand with the bagging and boarding of the comics as well. Luckily, he's as meticulous as I am when it comes to bagging and boarding, so it's a good guy to have helping you out. But yeah, so these are the titles essentially that came out this week. The release date being the 5th. Obviously not coming out here properly until the 7th due to delivery snafus. But these are the titles from the 5th and also the titles from the last week of December that were released in the States. So yeah, just take you through my pull list. Kick things off with DC. First of all, we have Arkham City, Order of the World. We're up to number 4 of 6 of this. This, of course, is from the team of Dan Waters and Danny. This is showing some of the escaped mental patients, some of the escapees from Arkham Asylum when the whole A-Day events happened. It's nice to read books set in Gotham that aren't just Batman-centric. You know, it's nice to see the other side. You know, what must it be like for villains living in Gotham as much as for heroes. So I'm really enjoying this, and the art is always really creepy in it as well. But as much as I enjoy a title without Batman in it, I also enjoy a title with Batman in it. Batman 119 this week. So, of course, this is Joshua Williamson taking over. This is his second issue, loved 118. I'm going to be reviewing that in the podcast in the next week or so. In this one, you've got Jorge Molina on art and also Mikel Janin doing fill-in art. And their art styles are quite similar, so you don't really notice a juxtaposition. But we're being properly introduced to the new villain Abyss in this one as well. Next up, we have Dark Knights of Steel. We have issue 3 this week, so we're continuing with the Tom Taylor, Yasmin Putri Game of Thrones meets the DC Universe. First 2 issues of this have been awesome so far, just really friendly for new readers who can just get a grip on these characters, see these relationships in an interesting new setting, but they still have the key characteristics there as well. So, love the first 2 issues, as I say, so we're up to issue 3 on that. Another one that's been a big surprise, although I shouldn't be too surprised, I suppose, given the talent involved, but Jim Tynion the Fourth and Matthew Rosenberg co-writing, Otto Schmidt on art. I've been really digging DC versus Vampires. You know, it's one of those ones, you think of things like Deceased or, you know, something like that where it's an instantaneous thing and the whole world goes to crap. With this one, vampires have been there in the background, lurking, waiting for the right moment to strike. But also the characters are able to hide whether they're a vampire or not. So therefore, they're able to infiltrate. They're able to have the trust of fellow, you know, Justice League members. There has been somebody outed as a vampire in the first couple issues, but our other characters don't know that yet. Just a really cool series, you know, echoes of The Thing, you know, that sense of distrust, that sense of paranoia. But yeah, loving that series so far. So that is issue 3. The next 2 I'll show you at the same time, simply because it was a double week that we got 2 issues of Detective Comics. So as you all know, I collect the variants as I go through, and you can see why. The Lee Bermejo variants are amazing. So you've got 1046 and 1047, showing a battered Bruce Wayne with the Batsuit in the background, and one of Batman dragging the Joker in the Arkham Asylum. Love those covers. 1046 is the fallout from Fear State, and then 1047 is the start of this new Shadows of the Bat storyline. That's going to be a weekly event for 12 weeks, I believe. Next up, we have the 3rd issue of The Human Target. First 2 issues has been awesome, as you would expect. Tom King, Greg Smallwood, one of the best looking titles around. Tons of interesting characters, a great central mystery, great noir stylings as well. Loving The Human Target so far. Next up, we have Robin. We're up to issue 9 of Joshua Williamson's Robin series. And again, I collect the variants for this. Francis Manipul's been doing a series of variants focusing on different characters each time. So that is why this is a very different cover to the cover A. Next up, we have issue 6 of Tom Taylor. Geez, we're seeing a lot of the same creators this week. You know, Tom Taylor titles, Joshua Williamson titles. So, of course, Tom Taylor, and we're working on Superman Son of Kal-El now, number 6. John Timms on art with this one. So, again, issue 5 was obviously the big deal issue, so to speak. The annual was superb if you haven't had a chance to read it. The Son of Kal-El annual, which pits, you know, Jonathan against Lex Luthor. Very, very good. Another really good one is Task Force Z. So again, this is Matthew Rosenberg with Eddie Barrows on art for this one. And if you read the Suicide Squad title from last year by Tom Taylor, Suicide Squad Bad Blood, you'll have seen Deadshot was taken out of the equation. This is the return of Deadshot, and man just can't catch a break even in death. He's still drafted into Amanda Waller's team. So moving on from DC and on to indie. So first up, this is one I definitely recommend. I put this forward in the previews catalog. I thought this looked awesome. It was 1940s Hollywood. It was noir and it was horror. It's called Blood on Sunset, and it's from Source Point Press. This is a brand new #1 this week, and this is very close to the top of my most anticipated pile this week. Next up, we have a new series from Aftershock Comics, Bylines in Blood. I seem to remember pointing this out in the previous podcast as well. Aftershock are doing some really interesting stuff at the moment, and tons of variety, tons of good adult storytelling. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be 5-issue mini-series, so they're not long series that you have to commit to. And again, looking forward to that. Next up, we have Echolands #5. So this, of course, is the landscape comic, or the widescreen comic, if you will. From J.H. Williams III. High fantasy, tons of horror stuff in here, brilliant art, really suits that widescreen format as well. So issue 5 of that one. Next up from Patrick Kindlon, what we have here in Marco Ferrari is Frontiersman. We're up to issue 4 of this. I'd held back issue 2 and 3 to read sort of back to back. It's almost like a socially, environmentally aware superhero story, as interesting as that sounds. And it's been great so far, but what I found interesting was there was a letter at the back, or an editorial at the back from Patrick Kindlon. He talks about how you can pick up any issue of this. Each issue is almost like a one-shot. It's almost like a Monster of the Week type story, but it obviously all ties to an overall long-reaching narrative. But yeah, really enjoyed that when I had a couple of issues back to back. Next up, we have Good Boy #2, John Wick in reverse. Again, I'm going to be reviewing this on the podcast, and issue 1 was a pick of the week for me. Loved issue 1. Again, just for anybody that doesn't know, the reason I say John Wick is, imagine John Wick, but instead of the dog getting killed in John Wick's vowing revenge, it's John Wick who is killed, and it's his dog who's vowing revenge. This is the variant cover for it by Francesco Francavilla as well. Again, one of my favourite artists. So I just collect the variants on Good Boy. Next up, we have The Magic Order 2, issue 3, so Mark Millar and Stuart Immonen. Again, another series I'm absolutely loving. Just really brutal, really adult storytelling. Continues to live up to that pitch of Goodfellas meets Harry Potter. And then again, yeah, this is always, the cover Bs are always the black and white covers. So Vicky and I have been collecting the Mark Millar sort of black and white cover Bs for a lot of his series. Next up, we have Marjorie Finnegan Temporal Criminal, or should that be Harriet Finnegan Temporal Criminal? But again, this is the end of the Garth Ennis series. This has been 8 issues through AWA Studios. I've always said the same thing about this. It is as deep as a puddle, but it is tremendously entertaining and laugh out loud funny. So, final issue of this, and again, it's been a riot the whole way through it. Next up, we have Maze Book #5. So Jeff Lemire's Maze Book. Again, very personal story. Jeff Lemire doing both the writing and the art on this. Always oversized issues through Dark Horse, so loving that. Next up, we're very glad to see a return for Nocterra. Now, this is not the return of Nocterra, the main series. This is actually a Blacktop Bill special. So Blacktop Bill, of course, he's essentially been seen as the big bad in the Nocterra world. But like any good villain, he believes he's the hero. It's really cool series. There's Scott Snyder, Tomo Murray on colours, and Tony S. Daniel on art. Looks like Dennis Cowan is involved in this one as well. But yeah, I love the world of Nocterra. Also have Once and Future. So again, another series we absolutely love in store. Kieran Gillen, Dan Mora. This is issue 23. This is the second last issue of Arc 4. Where of course all of this high fantasy has infiltrated the real world. But brilliant series. And just on a separate note, just a slight tangent from Kieran Gillen. I've let issues 16 to 20 pile up of Die. And I read all 5 of them back to back, and oh, that series ended so well. And Once and Futures, everybody's good. Next up, we have Stray Dogs, Dog Days. So this is going to be a 2-parter. This is from the original creators of Stray Dogs, which of course was a surprise breakout hit of 2021. And they're doing a 2-issue miniseries here, and then I believe they're going to be doing a fully fledged sequel later in the year. So again, an oversized issue, seems to be double the thickness, which is always good. And I believe this is going to be anthology based as well. Any week that has The Walking Dead is a good week. Up to issue 30. Can you believe we are about an eighth of the way in? Well, no, that's not true. We're over a sixth of the way in now. A sixth would be 180. Yeah, I mean, thereabouts. But yeah, loving The Walking Dead Deluxe, as anybody who knows me knows. I'm loving the rereading of The Walking Dead as well. It's as fresh as it's ever been. It's as good as it's ever been. And of course, the added bonus just of colour as well. So we move on to the Marvel side of things. First up, we have Black Widow at number 13, or Legacy 53, if you will. So Kelly Thompson continuing to do great work on Black Widow. Loving these Adam Hughes covers every time. They seem to be getting more and more brutal every time. But I'm really enjoying the Black Widow series in general. I think it's been really, really good. I'm a sucker for, noir and spy type stuff. Do not adjust your set. Yes, it's an Iron Man title, but ignore that part and we'll focus on the Captain America part. But yeah, Derek Landy continuing with this with Angel and Zueta on art. First issue was great, continued on from Derek Landy's Falcon Winter Soldier series. Same villains, same characters, but this time Cap and Iron Man are involved in that. Next up, we have issue 4 of The Death of Doctor Strange. I keep calling it Death to Doctor Strange. Death of Doctor Strange. This is a 5-issue miniseries. Jed Mackay and Lee Garbey. And this is going to be, again, a 5-issue miniseries that's going to lead into a new Doctor Strange title, but it's just currently subtitled as Strange. So, one for you there. Next up, we have Devil's Reign, issue 2. So, Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto, fantastic stuff. Loved the first issue. This was so good. Best Marvel event comic I've read in years. Previous to this, it was probably House of X Powers of 10. I thought had a great issue 1. But Marvel events, I mean, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool DC guy. I can admit my bias, so I've loved things like Metal, for example. But, War of the Realms I quite enjoyed, I must admit. But things like Empire, I was here or there on it. I enjoyed Keenan Black and I enjoyed Absolute Carnage. But this was on another level, I thought. And this brought in the whole of the Marvel Universe. Pardon me. But what's great about it is it feels like a street-level threat rather than a, New York being invaded threat that they have to ward off. Great stuff. Next up, and I should say with Devil's Reign, actually, we've got second prints of number 1 coming in next week as well, in case you're playing catch up. Next up, we have Elektra Black, White, and Blood. So we're continuing on with this Black, White, and Blood anthology type series, because of course DC and Marvel have to do the same thing at the same time. You have Batman Black and White, you have Wolverine Black, White, and Blood, you have Superman Red and Blue, you have Deadpool Black, White, and Blood, you have Wonder Woman Black and Gold, you have Elektra Black, White, and Blood. But I really enjoy these anthology tales because it gives creators a chance to just tell a short story, not worry about 6-issue minis or anything like that. Just get to the essence of the characters, and it means you can have plenty of creators working on it. So for this one, for example, you've got Charles Soule involved, you've got Declan Shalvey involved, you've got Mark Bagley involved. Great John Romita Jr. cover there as well. I don't think anybody draws characters in the Reign better than John Romita Jr. Next up, we have Thor. This is my final one of my pull list of the week, issue 20. Of course, I've been loving Donny Cates and Nick Klein's Thor from the very, very start. The interesting one with this one, of course, is that there's a first appearance in here. Of course, other stores who will remain unnamed are charging stupid prices for it, day of release. Always a bugbear of mine, always will be. I always say, if you've got a pull list with us, you're guaranteed first print, you're guaranteed the day of release, you're guaranteed cover price. I've seen other sites and other stores that say selling this £18, £20 on the week of release. And again, it's something that grinds on me. So we've got a couple of spare copies. We don't have loads because Thor is a pretty big pull list title. So we've plenty of people on it, so they're always taken care of. It's never been a big off-the-rack seller, but we do have a few copies, as I say, if you're looking to get into it. We have the previous issue in store as well, which is issue 19, which is part 1 of this God of Hammers. So if you want to get into the series itself, it'd be a good place to start, along with the previous issue as well. And I'm just going to throw out one trade that I went for this week as well, because what a trade. Superman Red and Blue, I collected all the single issues, of course, but who can resist a great hardcover? This was one of the best titles of last year, and again, anthology based. I'm not the biggest Superman guy, I will openly admit it, but this was 10 times better than Batman Black and White. It was better than Wonder Woman Black, White, and Gold. It was better than the Marvel ones I mentioned, Wolverine, Deadpool, etc., etc. Every issue of this had at least one story that just, warmed the heart, really made you think of the essence of Superman and the greatness of the character. Some great art, some of the best people around working on it. I was waiting for this. I always wait until the week after release if there's a trade I want to take. I always want to make sure that I've got enough on the racks for any new readers, that kind of thing. But I made sure to order restocks this week, and it came home with me. I'm really looking forward to a reread of this because it was awesome. So yeah, that is my pull list for the week, excepting the variants over to my right that I see are yay high. But we don't need to talk about those, or my problem that I have with collecting variants as well as cover A's. Those are all the cover A / variants I collect if it's only variants. So yeah, so recording this on the Friday night, as I say, where everything's on the racks for the Saturday. All the new releases are on the racks, all the new graphics are on the racks, all the pull lists are done, and of course it's relentless. It doesn't stop. We'll be straight into another delivery next week, but open all day on the Saturday, you know, ready for a nice busy day, and hopefully I'll see as many of you guys as possible then. So hope you're staying safe out there, and take it easy.